Yo, welcome everyone once again to the We Are Gamers series. My name once again is your host, Champ Tone, aka Sykosys, a gamer with a passion for Jesus and gaming. And once again, it is a pleasure to grace your space this day. Today, we will be continuing these great 1v1 series with someone who I've seen tear it up in a few games, and we've had some very interesting conversations in real life. Someone who I've actually grown very fond of personally, just seeing him grow up as a person. He's become a great man in my eyes. Let me introduce my man Mando. Welcome, Mando.
What's going on, Tony? It's a pleasure to be here. It's awesome that I get to share some stories and kind of hear about what the gamer community is like from your perspective and from your group of friends, etc.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for joining us, man. So
For
let's
sure.
just jump right into it. So if you don't mind, if you could just give us your first name, please.
Yeah. My name is Armando, and a lot of folks call me Mando for short.
Hmm.
I took my father's name, so that nickname is pretty cool.
Nice. And then if you can just share us, so what's the online gamer tags you usually use, or if there's like a series of names that you use when you play
For
games online?
For sure. The first system I ever was exposed to for like online multiplayer
Mm.
was the Xbox
Hmm.
One with Halo 2.
Nice.
And at that point, I had to just create any username. So at the time, I was a fan of James Bond, 007,
Nice.
Nightfire, and I just said MI6 because that's the organization he worked for, and then
Mm.
341, just some numbers. So the first tag I ever played with is MI6 341 on Xbox.
Nice.
Mostly Halo 2.
Mhm.
But then after that, the Xbox 360 came out, so I had a new
Mm.
opportunity to make a gamer tag, and I went by Septic,
Mm.
which kind of means like it's trash. It's like where sewers, building sewers or your home sewer.
Yeah.
So I was just saying like I'm trash, but in a different way.
Mm.
But then I started taking the game more serious.
Mm.
Eventually evolved to Zoofer, Zupher.
Mm.
It's a play on the words like super.
Yeah.
The original gamer tag was actually Zoofer Main.
Mm.
So it's like Superman, but just in a different way.
Yeah.
And that's what I stuck with for a long time.
Mm.
So pretty much I go by Zoofer. Recently, I
Mm.
have now like a PC. So
Mm.
I have again a new opportunity to make a gamer tag, and I chose Traffic.
Mm.
Just spelled a little funny, Traphic,
Yeah.
which is like just a play on the word traffic itself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Nice. And
But
you
yeah,
also stream with traffic, correct? That's
yeah, that's what I use now as
mm.
like my kind of online pseudonym.
Mm. Mm.
So traffic is like the main, it's like the my persona,
Mm.
and then in the video game itself, I could they allow you to use nicknames and things, so I'll choose different things throughout time, just irrelevant to anything, just
Mm.
for
Mm.
fun. But yeah, traffic is my main at
Nice.
the moment.
So you started giving some background with some of the names and why you choose them. Was there any special meaning for any of those names? I know you chose certain numbers at one point. Was that just a random number selection, or
Yeah,
did they
yeah,
actually have? Oh, they were.
yeah. They were just a random selection.
Mm.
Um, and any other gamer tags that I chose, I
Mm-hmm.
guess they were just like plays on words. That the meaning, I would always look for something and then try to find a different way of saying it.
Mm.
So that's I would say that would be the meaning. Like super and zoofer and super, or like traffic and the way I spell traffic, um, things like that. So septic and trash. Uh, That's basically the meaning behind. I would think about how to say something in a different
Hmm.
way. So maybe something creative.
Nice. I actually can appreciate that line of thinking. That's actually one of the reasons my name is what it is. So I go by Sykosys. But
Right.
if you see it, it's not spelled at all like psychosis. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
literally
When I looked it up and I was saying psychosis out loud, and then I had to type it in a whole different way.
hmm hmm
Look at it 4 times, make sure I had it right. But that I do like that. That's pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. I understand. It's cool, because people they see your gamer tag online, and sometimes they have to say it, and then they're like, "Oh, that's what his name really means." You know what
Right.
I mean? Yeah, I like that. All right,
Yeah.
so that's awesome. So if you don't mind, this next question always a tricky question, just because I understand how people are with their age and stuff. So
Yeah.
if you can just share, either your age or your age bracket, and when did you actually start gaming?
I'm 28,
Mm,
and so 94. I was born in 94.
mm-hmm,
And when I started playing video games, that was probably right around 2000.
mm,
I was maybe, I mean, at the time I was like 7 or 6,
mm-hmm.
something like that. That's when I started playing. And the first console I ever saw was like the Dreamcast. I'm not
Dreamcast.
sure. I'm not sure if the timing, like you know, the situation, like if it was gifted or like something like that, right?
Mm-hmm,
But that was
mm-hmm,
the first console I ever. Outside the PC, I always had
mm-hmm.
PC games, even as when I was as young as I could think of. My dad would always have had a computer, and there were just games, like 1 or 2 games that we could play.
Yeah.
But the console systems that really captivated me
Mm.
was the Dreamcast and of course the PlayStation.
Mm, yeah, Dreamcast. Dreamcast was a good system though. I played on the Dreamcast. I played what was it? Power Stones. They had they
I
didn't
remember
have a
playing like a Sonic game,
yeah, yeah. They had right because it was Sega. They had
like Marvel. Yeah, Sega. It was like Marvel versus Capcom, maybe, or it
yes.
was one of these fighting games.
It
I forgot.
was it Marvel versus Capcom or Marvel
Like the
versus
original.
X-Men? Yeah. I don't
Sheesh.
remember. I
And I know
remember
Soul Calibur. I'm not sure if that was on
mm,
there. Soul Calibur 1. I mean, I might be confusing them with the PS1.
on the Dreamcast. I
Yeah,
don't I didn't I only played it at a friend's house, and
yeah.
it was the only he was the only dude that had it. But it was just fun because it had the 4 players. And I remember Power Stone was a crazy game because there was no blocking. You either dodged or you just attacked. That was such a crazy game. All right, so what was it? What was it really about video games? You talked about you started in 2000, so you were pretty young at the time. 6 or 7,
Yeah,
like you said.
yeah.
What was it about video games that really drew you in to play them?
Well, I think computers, I think for many folks prior to the oversaturation of video games,
Mm,
it had to be the computer, like digitalized, even just graphics, because
mm,
we didn't even have our televisions didn't even have that many animations or
mm,
shows that showed these kind of graphics. So when you have access to computers and you see like these different games that are on the computers,
yeah.
and now you can play it kind of like in a mobile way. It's not like connected to the keyboard or stuck to like a corner of your room, but now it's like in front of the TV, in the middle of the living room where
Mm, mm,
other people can see or stuff like that. I think that was really captivating, just as a
mm,
kid. Um, and I would say that not until I was about 10, the gaming was just like a passive thing you do.
mm.
But then
What?
at some
Mm,
point, it became something I really cared about.
mm, mm. What was it? That's an interesting take on it. What was it that shifted that the way you thought about it? What happened? Like, what did something happen, or was it just you just started just being drawn into it more, seeing things and how they were? You mentioned the graphics and things like that. Was it what was it that shifted that from being a passive? experience that you just did to, ooh, I want to do this now?
Yeah, I think it was when, I went to this after school program. It was like
Mm,
at a rec center, so they had, you did a bunch of activities,
mm.
but there was a game room where you had to pay like $1 to participate for like 30 minutes in this game room where it
Oh,
had tons of
nice.
consoles. So they made it, they made it $1 so that you could stay on track with your
Mm,
required courses and you could, get your homework time and all these other things. But when I was playing these games, you had this multiplayer experience, and
mm,
once I started having the multiplayer experience, outside of split screen, split screen is great, but being able to face, honestly, an infinite amount of people, but so many different. At
mm,
the time, like in a building, there's 30 kids playing, and you get to see different play modes or play styles. I mean, and
mm.
that really drew me into the game as something that is more than just like a book you sit down to read for 30 minutes, or you watch a movie and it's over. Like, it's
Mm.
something that you can do, participate in, and it's like almost a lifestyle.
Nice. That's actually pretty cool. Wow. That's Yeah, I mean, yeah, that'll definitely do it for you because it's such a different experience from just being by yourself and then
Yeah,
playing it with other people. That's really awesome. So
yeah,
so let me move on to this next point. I want and it's funny. Let's stay on this point because it's interesting. You mentioned that has to be. I know we've done this series. We're I believe this is episode 12, and
wow,
yeah, I know, right? And one thing that has been a common theme has been the multiplayer experience,
yeah,
both mostly in person.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
when you're playing a multiplayer game with other people that are with you, it's almost as if whatever there's no issues between you all unless you're playing against each other. Then there might be a little trash talk and stuff like that. But if you're playing a game with a cooperative goal, you're just trying to get to that goal together, and
absolutely.
you don't even care who the other person is. There's literally no sense of who is this person. It's like, yo, let's do this. Let's be, I'll say this one, a simple one, TMNT. You know what I mean? The Teenage
Yeah,
Mutant Ninja Turtles, the four
yeah,
players. You
yeah.
wanted the four players in because you knew if you had more people playing, you
You,
can
you
beat it.
can get farther.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
exactly, exactly.
absolutely. And
And
even
that's
Smash Bros or
hmm
Melee back
hmm
then, all those games really brought people together,
yes,
and that was something that like movies did in a different way,
right.
or other forms of entertainment have. It's not like, you know that's when it started to look more like a sport to me,
Mm,
um,
mm,
and it became a sport for me,
mm,
and that happened because I was exposed to those game rooms where we would
mm.
face each other.
Yeah.
It was a first person shooter, 007 Nightfire, and there was a map and 4 versus 4, or yeah, I think 4 versus 4. The systems were
Wow.
connected land, and
Yeah.
there were maps, and you would capture the flag and all those things, and then of course Xbox was came out, and
Mm,
Halo,
mm,
and once
mm.
Halo 3 came out, um, it was a different world for me.
Yeah. And I can totally see that. All right, so let's go on to these next questions. This because
Yeah,
I want to move along, but at the same time, I could probably just talk about that point for so long. But let's just keep going. So
I feel
how
that.
was how was your family's reaction when you actually started? I guess not. Yeah, when you started gaming, how was their
Yeah.
reaction?
I guess at first it was okay because that's what kids do.
Mm,
It was like a modern thing too. Once the PlayStation 2 came out, it
mm-hmm,
was
mm-hmm,
and the PlayStation Portable came out,
mm,
and things really became normal almost.
yeah.
I think. I think they were a little accepting that it's part of just like kids growing up.
Yeah.
But then it became a problem uh,
Mm.
for
Mm.
them because schoolwork wasn't getting done.
Mm.
Uh, I was staying up later,
Mm.
doing and that of course
Yes.
the school seat notices. These are the things that the
Mm.
schools have to tell your parents, and
Mm.
of course your parents can do one of two things. They can completely take the system from you until you get your grades right,
Mm.
or they don't.
Mm.
um, and they
Mm.
didn't. So
Mm. Mm.
I continued on until it got worse and worse, and eventually the school was worried, and they called Child Protective Services
Oh wow.
to go see the house and to see what's happening. Why doesn't this kid do homework?
Mm.
Why doesn't this kid
Mm.
show up late or
Mm.
seem tired? So it became a problem at one point
Mm.
because of how serious I took it.
Wow.
And I mean, I could have went pro. The
Mm.
thing is, at this time when I was playing,
Mm.
it wasn't a market that even you could dream of. Like there
Mm.
was only one tournament, and the winnings were of 100,000.
Right.
And today, folks have made up to $50 million off of a contract
They are
just because they're a gamer.
literally pro gamers making athlete salary. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And sometimes I wonder, like, wow, I should have stuck to it and kept playing. But
Mm.
I don't regret it because the destiny and the path of life is
Mm.
unique for a reason.
Mm. Yeah, I remember we've had actual conversations and you always mentioned it and I've always wanted to hear more about it. So, but here let's actually go into this next question though. Just give
Yeah.
us your heritage and cultural background.
My mom's she's from Venezuela,
Mm.
and my dad is from Spain.
Mm.
So I'm a mix of European and Latin American.
Mm. Nice. Nice. So with your culture in mind and everything you just talked about though, which is interesting because this next question, has there really been any positive or negative impact that your culture has specifically had on your own gaming experience?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I touched on it a little bit.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm. You
your
did.
parents could do something about it or not.
Mm.
And I think that comes from, you know, where how you grew up, and of course
Mm.
this specific timing.
Yeah.
So something could be just because of the timing of it. It
Mhm.
came out at a certain time where everything is happening at once.
Mm.
They had no experience with it, so they
Right.
wouldn't
Right.
know, like, oh, this is actually doing damage or not, whatever.
Mm.
So I think being that they're from foreign places, growing, raising kids in America, you kind of go with the flow because you think this is what is happening. This is the status
Mm.
quo,
Mm.
and you're not really deeply understanding what's happening, and not to anyone's fault. But I think that being culturally, different
Mhm.
from this American status quo
Right.
affects a little bit how you're raised.
Mm. That's an interesting point too, because there really wasn't any pathway in terms of
Right,
successful anything
right,
for actual gaming. There wasn't, like you said, the tournaments that they had, you know, it was a huge tournament because it was the only one depending on the
right.
game and the payout was so little. It didn't seem as if there was any real end success with it. And
Exactly.
in hindsight, because I know I have this conversation with my dad actually, and I go, "Yo," I call him boss. I go, "Yo, boss, you know, these pro gamers are making like millions of dollars, man. So you kind of messed me up, by holding me back." He gets so upset at me,
Yeah.
but it's
I
true.
bet,
He,
but
you know, there
it's true.
there wasn't they didn't have it in schools because now schools are starting to actually
Right.
adopt an esports culture, seeing
Yep.
seeing the pathway to it. There was no pathway to
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
And now, yeah, I
It's incredible what has happened. I mean, I think it makes sense where the world is going. Things are
mm,
being more virtualized. I
mhm,
think,
mhm.
gaming is going to be the next big sport, is the big form of entertainment for a lot of people, especially the new generations to come.
Yes, yes,
Uh,
because they all
you know,
play it. They
yeah.
understand it way more. Because right, because our parents weren't. Well, my dad, he can be quote unquote a jive turkey, as he likes to say, about things. Because the reason I started playing games was because I saw him playing games on the Atari
Mm,
with his brothers and buddies. They were literally playing
mm,
tennis. I saw all four of them, and I said to myself, "Yo, this is really cool." You know what I mean? But
yeah,
for him,
yeah.
it was just like a waste of time, just to do it. Whereas I saw almost the direction it could have gone. You know what I mean? And but again, there was no pathway, there was no tangible way to go. It was more of, yeah, maybe this will happen, And I mean, in hindsight, it is what it is. Here, so let's move on to this next question. So you told us your age and everything and your cultural background. Thank you for that. So why do you still play games now? Yes?
Yes,
Yes. So why do you
I
still
do.
play video games now?
And it's definitely become harder since I became a father and, have a
Mm.
little bit more responsibilities, well, a lot more.
Mm, mm,
But it does it's a form of relaxation. It's a form of
mm,
therapy.
mhm,
Um, it's like when you grow up doing something that you
mhm,
love to do and you just continue to do it throughout your life because it brings you good
mhm,
energy or good
mhm, mhm,
memories even.
mhm, mhm.
I still have Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I still have Game Boy Advance, and I still have
Nice,
GameCube,
nice.
because I like to play these things and
Mm,
kind of just remember the fun times that I've had, and of course,
mhm,
take in the almost like the blessing to be around this
mm,
incredible uh, jump and leap
mhm,
of video games and the digital world as we know it.
mm, mm. Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
I hear you on that. So you talk what's your you talked about the nostalgia and stuff like that, and that's actually a good segue into this next question. What is actually your favorite video game of all time? Like your number one top, like that one game that gives you that you could just play it
Yeah.
and it just feels so good. You know what I'm talking about. What game
Yeah,
is that?
absolutely. And it's unfortunate that there's two games that do very similar situations, but
Mm,
I'll give it to one,
mhm.
and that's gonna be Halo 3.
Halo 3,
Um,
nice.
Halo 3 because of how much time I put
Mm,
into the game. I was playing with the pros.
mm.
As a kid, I sold accounts that were maxed out at the highest competitive rank, because that's what people
Wow.
people wanted that. So
Yeah.
I would sell it. I bought myself like a $500 jacket selling these accounts.
You were wow.
Um,
Wow.
and then I almost was sponsored by Volcom. I
Mm,
just didn't have the commitment to leave the state and do
mm,
these things that they needed to do.
mhm, mhm.
And that was maybe financial, but also like we said, also not having that kind of vision. Like, what does this mean? It's not like
Right,
you're going to baseball practice or a
right.
baseball scout could see you. It's really playing video games and traveling, and so it didn't work out. But that game Halo
Mm.
3 led to this infinite possibilities, in my mind, at
That
least.
was
And
wow.
yeah, it's just my favorite
Wow.
game.
That's wow. So you used to sell boosted accounts to people and they would just buy them up. Wow.
Yes, yes.
Wow. Cuz
On
I know
forums.
I
Yeah,
know this because there is a market for that. I've seen it in other games that I've
yeah,
I've personally played, and it's kind of frowned upon nowadays because
yeah,
unlike Halo, which is definitely more a game of skill, whereas you
yeah,
can tell somebody you can and I guess in these other games as well, you can always tell when somebody has bought
Yeah,
the high
you
level
can
account.
always tell.
Oh man, because it's like no way is this person at this level of gameplay. No freaking way. Because this,
For sure.
but that's wild that you were able to actually hustle off that.
Yeah.
That's actually interesting. You saw that actual need and we're like, hey, if people are willing to pay, I mean, I don't blame you. If people are
Yeah, I
willing to,
heard I heard where people doing we're paying, so it's just like
yeah,
you have to
yeah,
jump on board. Um
and it's
so yeah,
something
I think that game was just that. It opened so many doors.
that's that's so wild. But that's so unfortunate to hear though, because yeah, at that time, I mean, when did esports really start taking off? Was it like in 20? I want to say what after 2010,
Yeah, yeah. That's
right?
exactly what I was gonna say. After 2010,
Right?
more like 2012,
Mm,
2013, Fortnite really took the game to a whole nother. It was so recent, really recent, honestly,
mm,
like
mm,
2015,
mm,
when Fortnite gets Ninja whoever to this, and Ninja is actually someone I used to play with in Halo. He was a Halo 3 pro, so he would just be in these lobbies that I would these matchmaking games that we would
wow,
high ranking games.
wow.
And Nate Shot is part of like FaZe Clan or
Mm,
100 Thieves. There's all these big time teams now that have these guys that
that's
these old guys as
yeah.
coaches, as managers and stuff. So
And
you
you
know,
played with
it,
them. Is that
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah. All those people,
that is
all,
so wild. That is so
and
wild.
and it's like look at them now.
Mm-hmm.
They're,
Mm-hmm.
Walshy is a big
Mm-hmm.
one.
Mm-hmm.
They have like the clothing lines that people want, or they
Mm,
have deals, book deals, even just
yeah.
talking about their experience. So
Right.
it's pretty cool
Right.
stuff where
Right.
gaming has gone now.
Yeah. It's
And I
and
think Halo 3 actually opened the door for all that because that was the
mm,
first big sports tournaments
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
was Halo.
Mm-hmm.
And then came like League of Legends, and
Mm-hmm.
then
Mm-hmm.
things
Counter
like Call of Duty,
Counter
Counter
Strike.
Strike,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. Wow.
CS:GO,
That's
yeah.
that is wild, bro. That is really wild. So having even all that in your head, is there one gaming memory? I mean, you have so many memories
Hours,
around
it's
gaming.
hours. It's
Amazing.
on. It's insane how much
Yeah.
I've
So
played.
so so do you have like at least one gaming memory, like one moment in gaming or surrounding gaming that you will never ever forget?
Hmm.
I know this one's
Honestly,
always
that's a funny question because there's so many things that maybe depending on the day or how you
mhm.
feel might be your best memory.
Right.
But I think something that I always like if I just think about it was the first thing that hit me. So
Mhm.
that's what I'll share
Mhm.
is play like it being New Year's Eve or New
Mhm.
Year's Day, like 3 a.m.
Mhm.
celebrating the New Year's, being with a few of my friends and playing some Xbox or something like that with four controllers and
Mm.
just all of it. And this is a specific uh, time that I'm
Mhm.
describing, and we
Mhm.
I had just bought like the Xbox and a bunch
Mhm.
of Xbox games.
Mhm.
Although the 360 was out, it was like it was a nostalgic moment. So playing, so this is a moment where I'm playing older games that I used to play
Nice.
because at that point I was playing Halo 3
Yeah.
only.
Yeah.
So it was like one of the, and if it was just a great moment.
Mm.
And I
Mm.
think I'll remember it. And if I ask my brother right now, he'll probably remember it too. Just being with our friends and playing all night,
Nice.
kind of thing.
Nice. Yeah, those are definitely usually the great gaming moments are usually when we're like with it's always it's rarely when we're alone. I've
Yeah,
noticed
yeah,
those gaming memories, it's always when we're either playing with someone cool that we know or we're with someone physically and something is happening during the gaming moment. Yeah, that's
for sure.
actually a good moment. Well, we're actually winding down. Wow, this was actually really amazing. I knew, and I was like, man, I can't wait because we've had discussions in real life. You're
Yeah,
such a
yeah.
I love our engagements that we have in our interactions. So
Likewise, man.
this next question, it's actually more of a technical question, and I know you've kept up to date with the evolution of technology and stuff. So how do you feel that the evolution of technology has impacted your own gaming experience? Has it been positive? Has it been negative? Has it been both? How has it impacted your actual gaming experience?
Well, I mean, I think like from the beginning, graphics and all those
Mm,
things that were initially captivating to me,
mm,
well, now have evolved into a new level.
mm, mm,
Being that now I'm a PC gamer, I
mm.
have a new um, experience with gaming where
Mm,
the frame rates are super, on
mhm,
peak, and you have all these amazing graphics and the
yeah.
amazing monitor. Um, that kind of makes it more immersive.
Mm,
So it really adds, to the experience of having fun in the community or in,
mhm,
just to prove that you're better than someone, whatever that. But
mm,
then, of course, there's the actual physical experience that occurs, and I
mhm,
think that's
mhm.
that's what the technology is elevating to new levels every time
Yeah.
that they upgrade and stuff like that.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. And it's interesting too because it's almost as if it has to keep up with, I guess, the new experiences that are happening with gaming, especially in the pro gaming scene.
Yeah,
You need to have better equipment. You need to
yeah,
have it's exactly like an athletic sport almost.
yeah,
You
yeah,
can't
absolutely.
you're not using the same helmet, you're not using the same type of keyboard, you're not using the same type of gloves, you're not using the same type of
Exactly.
mice. Everything has to get better to facilitate these better interactions in games. And yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's interesting. You having that insight with that scene and everything has been a very interesting viewpoint and everything. Oh man, this was so good, man. Armando, listen, Armando, thank you for joining us today. We're actually at our time. I have to wrap it up. I
we
don't
gotta
want
do
to,
we gotta do a part two.
we're
But
season two.
it
This
was
is Go ahead,
it was a
man.
pleasure though, for sure, bro. So I'm down for any time. We could do multiple discussions. 2v
Mm.
2. Could bring a friend in here, bring my bro in here
I
to
like that.
back up the story.
I like this. I like the sound of that actually. The 2v2 after the 1v1.
Yeah, for sure. And we could run some games if anything.
Word.
I'm mostly a first person shooter, like I was mentioning, but
Mm, mm,
I'm
mm,
always down to play like new things and try new
mm, mm.
things for sure.
I mean, I've seen you tear it up in Fortnite, man. When you were streaming that day, I was like, "Yo, this dude is killing it! Wow, he's really
Yeah,
good."
but I would say that was mids. I'm gonna stream one of
Mm,
these days my Call of Duty, and
mm.
that's when I'm my main game now. That's what I play the
Nice,
most.
nice.
Ever since Halo 4 came out, that's I've
Yeah.
switched to Call of Duty. It was
Mm.
just not worth it.
Just
But
keep doing work.
but yeah, that's it. So I'll probably be streaming later tonight, actually. So
All
I'll
right.
I'll catch you later.
That sounds good. All right. So I just want to say thank you for everyone listening. Thank you. Just this has been such a great time. All these sessions have been great. They've been so great. Thank you for listening. Thank you for letting us share your space. And I just want to tell you that you are awesome. Jesus loves you and ganadora.